Yeah.
You are running with the Devils, and we're back talking everything Arizona State football. Oh, Big John, who would have thought we'd have been here this time of year still talking ASU football as the Devils know their opponent now. They will be facing the Texas Longhorns in the quarterfinals of the College Football Playoff. The matchup is set. They will face the Longhorns in Atlanta this coming New Year's Day, Wednesday. Big John, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. I'm the Rhino Ryan Knowles. Sorry, I got a little excited. Get a little bit ahead of myself. It's an exciting time. We can't wait to talk about this with you. I'm the Rhino Ryan Knowles. He's Big John Caldwell. We are running with the Devils, and we appreciate you tuning in and joining us. We like to say here on RWD, you give us 30 minutes, we give you the world of everything Arizona State football, and we certainly will tonight. We'll be talking everything Peach Bowl. I know Big John's going to be there in Atlanta rooting on our Devils. I'm unfortunately not able to make it, but I was at the Big 12 championship game when John couldn't make it. So We're kind of trading off a little bit on our live support of the Sun Devils right now. But Big John, I cannot wait for this game. We're going to be talking everything, the keys to cracking the Longhorns D, as well as that powerful offense led by Quinn Ewers and company. It's going to be a big matchup for the Devils, but hey, that's why you get to this point. That's why you play all year, you win all those games, you try to get to this point and compete for a national championship. And who'd have thought the Devils are going to do that this year, 2024, soon to be 2025. And we cannot wait. It's going to be a crazy, crazy game. And we're going to be, we're talking everything about it here today. Can the Sun Devils continue this Cinderella run that they've been on, especially in the last couple of months? Big John, it feels like ever since that game against Cincinnati, they just got a different chip on their shoulder. Different, it's like they're cooking with propane. They got high octane in their gas tank. It's just they're running and going, and they got an extra gear they kicked into here ever in the last few months.
Yeah, and Sam's his completion percentage kept going up every week, and really the fact that we were
that's the key to getting to where you want to go. Absolutely,
he really emerged as quite the one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, quite frankly. And I'm just going to say it, I mean, and it, in the beginning of the season, I was not that sold on Sam. He was not throwing. He did not look like.
I had my full support behind Sam Levis.
Yeah, I just did not see. He had dirty eyes. He was not throwing the ball along well. He was not really honed in to his receivers. But all those things they worked on. He got the timing with Tyson and with Gilroy. And quite frankly, it's been magic, man.
Yeah. And it seems like, especially, I know you saw those things in practice, and that's why your confidence in him really wasn't that high. But he's a gamer, that kid. When the lights come on and it's for real out there, he's for the most part, he's making good decisions. He's hitting his receivers. He's, seeing his checks, doing everything pre-snap. He's where he's locked in, and he just goes out there and gets it done. He performs so well, and it's been fun to watch.
It's there are moments when what he's doing out there reminds me a lot of Jake the Snake, quite frankly. Yeah. And it's early up. It's really early. He's a freshman. Jake really didn't hone in until his last 2-3 years, but it's been impressive to see how. I mean, if you go to practice, Kenny and he they're yapping at each other constantly, nonstop.
They're trading notes, trading things that they can do to try to improve, just little things. Yeah, I mean that's what great quarterbacks do. They're kind of like coaches on the field. They just go out there and they know what they're looking at every time. They study the film. Right. They have that IQ. They know where their guys are supposed to be. They know where the defense is supposed to be based on their tendencies and everything. And that's what that's when I say he's locked in. I mean that's what I mean. It's not just with his guys. It's with the opposing defense. He's able to read the defense well and know what they're going to do and make the necessary adjustments. And then he's able to, on the fly, kind of adapt and overcome his situation, whatever, regardless of what's going on in front of him.
And let's not underestimate the power of a Scatterbo in terms of what it has done for Sam. Because
Absolutely.
because you take another safety out of coverage, right? He's somebody from the second got to come up and cover Scat. So Sam has adjusted to that very nicely. And it's Leslie likes to say, Leslie's my girlfriend, by the way. She likes to say the best thing to happen to Sam is Scatterbo. And I think I don't.
Well, I think the best thing to happen to each one of them was the other.
Right.
Because,
But I don't even.
Scat had some moments when he was here. When source last year, when they were kind of rush shuffling through quarterbacks, but now they've got some stability at the position. Scat has kind of been the beneficiary as well.
Yeah, and I just think that
he's not having to line up at quarterback. He's not having to punt. He's not having to passes. He's just basically able to do his role as a running back,
right.
And run and catch. Just focus on those
and I think
roles.
It's what the coverage must do. Everybody knows he's the mark man, and you've got to figure out what you're going to try to double team. You're going to bring somebody out of a safety up, and Sam's just taking advantage of it. It's wonderful.
And we'll get into this a little bit more here in a minute, but the first things first, we got to talk about ASU's opponent this week, the Texas Longhorns. They've had a tremendous season in their own right, 12-2 record, 7-1 in the conference. The head coach, Steve Sarkisian, his fourth season in Austin after kind of one of the great redemption stories, I think, in college football after his kind of embarrassing exit from USC. He catches on as the OC at Alabama, gets the job at Texas a few years ago and has really done very, very well in Austin, 37-16 record. They've been here before. They were in the College Football Playoff semis last year before they lost to Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies, who went on to the championship game. But this year they have really, they've been a tough team to beat. They're a high scoring, powerful defense. They're doing it on both sides of the ball. There really isn't a visible weakness. The strength is it's very evenly, it's very even, very between both sides of the ball. And as a result, they peaked at number one in the AP poll at one point. They've been number two. They were number two in the College Football Playoff poll going into the SEC championship game before losing to Georgia for the second. Their only two losses this year have been to Georgia. One in the regular season, one in the SEC championship. So they were the SEC runners-up, but because of the strength of schedule, obviously with the SEC, they made it into the College Football Playoff. And they of course beat Clemson in Austin last week to punch their ticket to the College Football Playoff semis, where they will face our Arizona State Sun Devils. As we move on here and take a look at what the season that Texas has had. They've struggled a little bit in a couple of games.
There's our common denominator right here, Mississippi State. Right.
Yeah, as far as common opponents, yeah, that's true. But they had a little bit of trouble with Arkansas. They had to, it took them to the last regular season game against Texas A&M, which they had to beat. They had a couple bad turnovers. I remember watching that game after we got back from Tucson, and they had some bad turnovers in that game. They only beat Vanderbilt had a great season in their own right. They only beat Vanderbilt in Nashville by 3. So, and then of course they lost at home to Georgia the week before, so they might have a little bit of a hangover from that game. But it's still an extremely talented team on both sides of the ball. Yeah. They lost in overtime in the SEC championship, but they bounced back very well. Back on the 21st, beating Clemson again to punch their ticket to the semis. So. This is a very quality team, and as we get into them here, specifically their offense.
But right before you get there,
sure.
This is their first year in the conference, right? No.
Yeah, in the SEC, yes.
In the SEC, right. and kudos to them for really figuring out. And I think.
Well, they've always recruited well when they've had great coaches. Look what they did under Mac Brown.
Right.
for all those years.
Right.
They were constantly making it to good bowl games in 05. They with
Right.
Vince Young, of course, that memorable game against USC. And they've kind of gone through a couple coaches since then. Charlie Strong comes to mind, and they've had good seasons, but they haven't really competed for a national
Right.
championship.
But of the two teams that went in this year,
up until last year,
yeah,
for a while they were going through a stretch, but they've had some very good. They've had some excellent recruiting classes the last few years under Sark, and he's really turned them into a national contender once again.
And my hat's off to him. And first year in a conference is always like you're figuring it out, and they figured it out right away. And I guess you can say the same thing happened for ASU.
True.
And of the two teams that went it together, Oklahoma and Texas, clearly Texas was the more prepared for this.
Thus far, that's certainly been the case.
And my point is, I think it's going to be sustainable for them in terms of.
I mean, they've always had, they always had the money flowing into the program. That's never been an issue. They've definitely had the facilities. They have the tradition.
Well, they beat A&M for God's sakes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They are, and I was thinking about it this week. ASU, what a great opportunity this is. What a just a memorable season it is. But the fact that they're in the college football playoff, competing with all these blue bloods, that have this, these great histories as far as competing and winning national championships. Your Texases, your Penn States, your Georgias, your Penn. I mean, Oregon to a lesser extent, but they've certainly especially in the last like 20 years, they've competed for national championships. Right. So this is certainly a big step for ASU to be able to go in against a program, go in and compete against programs like this.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of mutual respect.
Sure.
Sark has noted that in fact he studied what Kenny did in the Washington game last year, specifically to when they went to play him and beat him. They saw a lot of good stuff. And quite frankly, what I know we all want to focus on this miraculous great turnaround from last year, but you've heard me say this over and over again. We were 3 plays away from 3 more wins last year. We were not a 3-win team. We were closer to a 6-win team than we were a 3-win team last year. And so this thing while it was great the way it built this year. It was building last year too. You could see the competitive thing, right?
I mean they came basically within 1 play of beating Washington, who was the national runner-up last year.
USC and Colorado. All 3 of those.
They definitely hung with USC, absolutely.
Right.
Who had the number one overall pick at quarterback.
Right.
Colorado, they were basically 1 play away. So I agree with that. I mean, we saw flashes last year,
right,
of what this team could be. If they just had to get some stability at the quarterback position and get kind of stay healthy on the old line. And then get a couple pieces in the defense on the defensive side,
right?
And they did all of those things, and now lo and behold, they're one of the final 8 teams in the left competing for a championship. So, hey, pass off to Dilly. We've been saying it all year.
I want to go back and
has done a tremendous job in just his second year, and the proof is in the pudding. Look where we are.
I'm going to have to go back. I think it was our first game of the year, our first broadcast, where we were picking out key metrics to be looking for. And I said, I think we should be plus 20, plus 21.
In the turnovers, yes.
And guess what? We're at plus 22. Now, we played an extra, playoff game, but hey, but
the Big 12 championship, yes.
But you can
we were plus 3. Yes.
Yeah, but here's my point. You could see it in spring ball. They were trained. Brian Ward had them ball hawking. They were all working on creating the turnovers, because they knew the production. It was way down from the year before.
Yeah, and that was especially because they didn't really have the horses on defense to kind of generate turnovers, to generate a ton of stops, to put teams in some less desirable positions. I mean, the one kind of weakness on the defense this year has been its pass rush. They haven't really been able to generate a ton without blitzing.
Right.
So they knew they were going to have to force some turnovers to gain some possessions, steal some possessions, and put some points on the board. but thankfully they've been able to do that for the most part. But even to a certain extent, they haven't necessarily needed the turnover in order to get stops. They've been able to come away with forcing punts, forcing missed field goals,
right.
doing some different things. They're still playing a little bit of a bend but don't break.
Right.
But I think that the players on defense have matured to the point where they're getting more familiar with what they're seeing. They're familiar with playing with the guy next to them. I feel like they can hang with anybody that steps across from them, and that you've seen that confidence grown, and it's really played well. And but they also have the confidence to punch at the ball and not worry about letting the player get away.
True.
Either.
Yeah.
So that's certainly important. But as we move on to Texas's offense, oh man, you watch them against Clemson, and the word firepower comes to mind. And they're look at their stats: 34 points a game, good for 25th in the nation. They can also throw it around the yard with just about anybody. 275 yards passing per game. And Kyle Flood, the former Rutgers head coach, has them playing really well, and they've been clicking on all cylinders. They've had a couple hiccups against Georgia this year, but for the most part, they've been able to just score and move the ball on just about everybody. And it starts with their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, second team All SEC this year.
Right.
He's thrown at about 66% per game, 2,867 yards, 26 touchdowns. That 10 interception number, I was a little bit surprised about it. That is a little bit high. He has been prone to the turnover. That's really been a product of pass rush.
Yep.
And which ASU has struggled with this year. So in order to get to him, you may need to blitz him a little bit more. You need to try to generate some pressure to force him into some turnovers. And they'll spell him with the phenom, the legacy, Arch Manning. Yes, he is. He's Cooper's son, nephew to Peyton and Eli, grandson to Archie, his namesake. And so this kid, they'll put him in quite a bit. And usually they've been using him a lot for his legs, but he can throw the ball quite a bit, almost 1,000 yards on the season. That throwing percentage has been really good too, about 68%.
Yep.
And then it's been really good on the ground, 24 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well,
so that's you definitely got to watch out for both these guys.
His first game where he came in, he threw 3 TDs really quickly. And they were just on the money. They were just money balls, man.
I mean, you haven't seen the talent that this kid has.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a reason why Quinn Ewers he's already announced that he's leaving.
Yeah.
Early. I don't know if I forget if he's going. I think he is going in the portal. Because he kind of sees the writing on the wall that Arch Manning is going to be the guy going forward. So,
right.
This is but you're getting to certainly they got a lot of strength at the quarterback position, but then you start getting into their running backs with when Trey Wisner. It's kind of their power back guy, 191 carries, almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. And he's been a good receiver too, 34 receptions, 229 yards and a touchdown. And he's kind of their bell cow, their guy will get a majority of the carries. He did go out again in the Clemson game with an ankle injury, but he's all healed up from that. He is good to go this week. But the real home run hitter has been Jadon Blue. Right. He had a 77-yard touchdown against Clemson. It was just, he hit the hole and he was gone. Yeah. Basically, this kid has got a home run threat written all over him. 120 carries, 710 yards on the season. That's, you look at that. What is that? That's, I think that's, it's about 6 yards, just under 6 yards a carry.
Yep.
And this kid every time he touches the ball, you think he's going to go. He gets a head of steam, hits the hole hard, and he's gone. So they definitely like to get the ball in his hands, especially in the space. 120 carries, 710 yards, 8 touchdowns on the season, and 4 receiving touchdowns as well, Big John. So They'd like to get this kid the ball in a lot of different ways,
And he's an
a good
underclassman.
player.
He's an underclassman.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
he's a sophomore.
There you go.
I think.
Right.
And then in the receiving core, they haven't been as good at the receiver position. Matthew Golden's had a great year, so 49 catches, 787 yards, 8 touchdowns on the season. But I tell you, their passing attack. Quinn Ewers likes to go. He likes to play it safe more often than not. They'll throw kind of underneath, almost. I think it's like 7 out of every 10 throws are 7 yards or less.
Mm-hmm.
So they like to dink and dunk their way down the field. And
that was Clemson.
They'll use the pass to kind of set up the run a little bit more. But the running game is so strong that they can play it either way. But that's kind of how their offense rolls. They like to get the wide receivers, the short catches and let them make plays after the catch.
Yeah, that's Sark. Sark's one of the premier play callers in this game.
It's kind of the old West Coast offense. You just you kind of dink and dunk your way down the field, and then when you lull the defense and then you get them to play up and start playing a little tighter, you can hit them over the top with the deep ball.
Big strike.
Yeah, and that's what Texas likes to do. And then another strong player in this offense has been Isaiah Bond.
Right.
He missed the Clemson game with an ankle injury, but it looks like he's going to be good to go for this game. 33 catches, 532 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season for him. And then just finishing up the receiving core, DeAndre Morris had a nice year as well. 33 catches, 6 for touchdowns. But actually, the best receiver statistically this year has been their tight end, Gunnar Helm. He's got 55 catches, 688 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the season. This kid, I think he's a finalist for the Mackey Award, or he was a finalist for the Mackey Award. He's a tremendous player, good blocker as well. Just a guy you can see playing on Sundays. He's got that. He's a bigger kid, runs very well, especially down the tracks up the seam. Definitely somebody that Ewers likes to look for downfield. And then their offensive line, Kelvin Banks has kind of been the anchor. I believe he plays tackle. He's the consensus All-American. And then their right tackle, Cam Williams, will be a game time decision. He's got a ankle injury.
Right.
So, this is still a very strong offensive line. They love to run the ball, and they've done it very, very well this year.
Defense.
And then on defense, this is one of the best. This is probably one of the best rushing defenses in the nation. They're only averaging about 13 points a game that they've given up this year. That's a little bit misleading, I think, because you're playing. They shut out Colorado State earlier in the year.
Right.
They played a few games where they've had very low scores like that. I think they only give up 3 points to Oklahoma.
Right.
3 points to Oklahoma, 13 to Mississippi State, 3 to Louisiana Monroe, 7 to UTSA. So they played some games where they've had some low scores, 10 against Arkansas. But they still are very tough, especially up front. And starts with their linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. Almost 100 tackles on the season, 16 for loss, 7.5 sacks, interception, and 4 forced fumbles. It's a team that they're ball hawks. They at every level. They like to get after it. They like to try to make plays on the ball, and they've done that very well this year. And then up front, you have Michael Toffee
Toffee.
Yeah, Toffee. There we go. He's a free safety. 63 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions. He definitely fills up the stat sheet, and they'll bring him down in the box. I'm sorry, he's not a free safety, a field safety. They use field and boundary for their designations on their positions. But he's had a very good year as well at the safety spot. And then their jack linebacker, who'll play Baron Sorrell, who will play next to Hill. He's their the defensive end. Yeah, he's the defensive end. He's the
This was
been
handled.
very strong this year. 38 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks for him. And then one of the studs on this defense who's been very, very, very effective for them this year, the true freshman edge, Colin Simmons, who according to the depth chart doesn't even start, but he's leading the team with 8 sacks and 13 tackles for loss, interception, 3 forced fumbles. His team likes to punch and try to rip the ball out.
Yeah.
They force some fumbles, so definitely got to make sure ball security is a priority.
Turn them loose.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that it's nice to have a kid who can just say, see ball, get ball. Just, no other responsibility. Just, you have one job.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of what they asked their secondary to do, and they kind of struggled against Clemson a little bit. That was just because Clemson couldn't run the ball. They only finished with like 76 yards on the ground, and they were down most of the game, so they were having Klubnik throw for a good portion. So those numbers are a little bit misleading. But, they have a couple of very talented guys in the secondary. Jahdae Barron, he's a consensus All-American, 5 interceptions, 8 pass deflections on the season. He's a very, very talented player. And then just wrapping it up here, another guy who was all SEC this year, their other safety, Andrew Makuba, has had a strong year, 55 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections. And then one of the biggest X factor and catalyst for this defense is up front with Alfred Collins, who's been a very, very good player for them.
Right.
And he doesn't exactly fill up the stat sheet. 6 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, so he'll get his hands up and get his hands on balls. But what he does, you can't really measure in stats. He's a space eater up front, and he usually draws double teams and frees up other guys. Usually, the guys next to him on the D line have one-on-one matchups, and then the linebackers behind him can kind of run free and make plays. He doesn't really because he eats 2 blocks. He doesn't really let the O lineman get to the second level. He does a lot of things very well and frees up guys like Hill to go out there and make plays. So definitely got to have a body on him. And ASU has struggled against bigger interior linemen like that against Central Florida. They really struggled to run the ball because of that. The big interior lineman they had. And Collins is a very similar player, so
very busy hands.
Try to neutralize him
He's got real busy hands too, Runnin.
Yes. So that is Texas in a nutshell. And then we got to ask the real question. I know we don't really like to look ahead too much, but this is the College Football Playoff. This is the ultimate prize in the sport, and just to even get to the semis would be huge for ASU and just their second year under Kenny Dillingham. Big John, my question to you and to our subscribers, or anybody watching out there, certainly feel free to give us an answer in the comments. What would a College Football Playoff win mean for the ASU program at this stage?
Well, I actually have to look at it and say, even without the win, what is it doing? Where are we? And it's really clear.
Yeah, what does this game in a nutshell mean?
Yeah, I mean,
for the ASU program. Sure,
I'm looking at just the last couple of weeks in the portal, and I'm seeing the quality of the receivers, tight ends, and running backs who want to come here and play for Sam, play with Sam, and get balls from Sam. It's really impressive.
I didn't want to talk about. Sorry,
well,
go ahead.
That's sustainable. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so, what you're doing by getting this point is you're creating a sustainable level of player coming here. You see the Polynesian pipeline we're building, the Texas pipeline we're building. Those three things to me are kind of program builders. Okay, they're not. That's not going to. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So, I love all that. What this does is it kind of cements Kenny's philosophy has been. That is finding the right profile kids who want to play here, who have chips on their shoulder, maybe got overlooked, but can play, who got to be coached up, and they love football and they love their teammates. I told you, I go to practice. You don't have to go to practice. You can see these kids love each other. Their heart is the biggest thing they got going for them right now. We don't have the best athletes. We got a great team. They love playing for each other. They don't quit. they've adopted their coach's mentality, and that's what's got them this far, quite frankly. So
Yes.
and that now what that's sustainable too. The real question, the real question to me is going forward. We're gonna have to start paying players, and it looks like the money is starting to come in now as we're winning. Are we going to be able to, and the fortunate thing is that there is some NIL is going to change. It's going in house. All the pay for play is going to change. You're going to have revenue sharing. A lot of things are going to change to help what's going on. But what's not sustainable is things like you see going on at Oregon, where you have 3 classes of players. Guys making a lot, $500,000 a year. Guys making 5 figures, and guys making next to nothing, and they're at each other's throats. There's a lot of animosity. While they're a great team, that's not sustainable. So what can this do? It's going to cement a lot of things for the coach. Now, I'm really impressed with the fact that we paid both of our coordinators really well, very well. We're the best in the SEC, or the best in the Big 12 now.
The Big 12, yes.
And it looks like we're gonna do the same thing for our position coaches. They're not going to announce it for a while, and Kenny's going to get wrapped up in a series of really nice contracts that kind of trigger off of each other for very minor things like attendance, like graduation, grade point average. That will just be triggered every year for another 5-year contract.
Sure.
And there's my friend one of our politicians, J.D. Mesnard, is introducing a bill that the regents will have to let contracts go out to 8 years.
Yeah. I remember reading about that. Right.
That could help change the game plan too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really palpable. I was at the send off today. There was at least 1,500 people out there. It was really cool. Put together in 24 hours. Everybody loves showing up. People like a winner here. It's very evident. The Valley
definitely
is activated. It's really a lot of fun to see. I mean, you walk around the grocery store with your gear on. You get little old ladies going, "Forts up!" I mean, it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I know, and it's been crazy this season. And I don't think personally I don't want it to end. I know you don't either. It's been such a great ride this season. We've been there for every minute of it, and it's been fun to watch. And I didn't want to get into the transfer portal too much, just because it's this game's so huge. I just really wanted to focus on that. Yeah, they've been able to pull some good players from the transfer portal. Hope that continues, because they still got a couple things that I'd like to see them shore up a little bit, especially the pass rush, maybe an offensive lineman or two, just to try to keep that. I like the way the depth worked, the depth it was this year. I'd like to see that carry over and continue. But it's been very fun, and hey, a win. I think would continue to see the funds roll in for the players, and it would definitely just grow. I mean, the buzz on this team has been palpable, but it would grow it even more if they could move on and become one of the final 4 teams of college football this season. And that would be incredible, and definitely one of the most. I mean, this has already been one of the most memorable seasons in ASU history. But given where they have been, 2 straight seasons of 3 wins, they haven't really been able to measure up to expectations when they've had expectations coming into a season, and then they have no expectations in this season and go and be where they are now. It's just so incredible. I mean, you and I thought 5 or 6 wins coming into this season, and now we're sitting at 12-2, just as Big 12 champions. It's really incredible.
It is. So winning does one thing, not winning still accomplishes a lot, and that's kind of the take I'm having here. And I'm looking at it like already what has taken place, and I mean, if we win this thing, this place is going to go crazy. This valley. We've seen it with the Suns. We've seen it with the Diamondbacks, right?
Oh yeah.
This valley loves a winner. So,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna say it. Uh, uh, it's like, the Cardinals are the Cardinals, and we've seen that effort. We've kind of seen. I think the football fans have really woken up to ASU this year. And it's okay
Well,
to love.
given what they've done this year, and
Yeah,
the wins that they've had, yeah, they're it's easy to get excited about them when you live here. I mean, yeah,
there's a lot
you're
of
right.
people.
They're very fair. There's a lot of fair weather fans, but a lot of them are jumping on the bandwagon right now.
That's right.
So it's very exciting. It's very
I look at
exciting.
all these new people living in this valley, and this is one of the best sports stories going. Uh,
Oh yeah,
you know,
far and away it is. I know. It's
I
amazing.
just, everybody's got a little different narrative, and quite frankly, we're still getting disrespected. We're still being called Arizona State Wildcats, and we're every possible wrong thing.
People are confusing the
Oh
logos.
my
I
gosh!
know. Well, and that's nationally. That's
Right.
national stuff, and we haven't really been in the national conversation for so long that people kind of written us off and forgotten about us for so long that that then now they're trying to get caught up to what we've been doing, and
Right.
they're they're just kind of jumping over each other and clawing and scratching trying to get caught up to us,
Well,
and it's
let me ask you something.
there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that are going to get forgotten along the way,
Well, but let me ask you this:
including being called the worst college football playoff team of all time.
right, and so when U of A won a basketball national championship, they differentiated themselves. No one ever confused ASU and U of A basketball after that. I think the
Sure.
same thing can happen here in football. Is my point. So there's a real
that
chance
would be very nice.
that we could really differentiate ourselves forever should we win this game. Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Hey, that's worth a win right there.
it is. I think there's a lot of schools that have state in their name that really confuse people, and we're about to have a conference in the Pac-12 full of them. So
Hmm.
all the state
You're not
schools are going
kidding,
to be, yeah. So
right?
anyway, so
Well,
keys.
that takes us into our keys to the game, presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club. Support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And for me, you know, um, he's been talking pretty big this week
Yeah,
about his game and about Quinn Ewers. But I like, but Levitt, he's got to be Levitt large, and he needs to have the game of his life against Texas because yeah, I think that ASU is going to try to establish the running game. They are going to give Cam Scadaboo his touches as they should. He's obviously he's a tremendous player, but at some point Texas is going to make an adjustment. They're going to try to sell out to stop the run. How soon that is, I'm not sure, but hopefully ASU in their coaching pivots to
right,
the passing game,
right.
and Sam Levitt can get it going, and even with no Jordan Tyson, kind of pick apart that Texas secondary a little bit to move the ball and put some points on the board. But he's absolutely going to need his best game of the season, his A game, to go out there and lead his team to a victory. And then on defense, this is huge. Clear eyes, full hearts.
Yep.
Devils defense needs to play fast and smart and wrap up. Texas got some home run hitters on this offense.
Yep.
You miss one tackle, they could be gone like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so you got to wrap up, bring them down, and
right.
try to minimize big plays as much as possible because they're so disheartening. They just take the life right out of you. So if they can go out there and play like they're capable, I mean, we've seen it all year. We've seen this defense be very technically sound, not let things get away from them, keep everything in front of them, and wait for their opportunities because I promise you they will come. They've got a good chance to make an impact against this powerful Texas offense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, between lines, what I'm saying here is you're gonna have to. We're playing a really, really good team, and you're gonna have to play hard. You have to play hard all 4 quarters. There's, there's no. You're not gonna be able to take a quarter off with this team.
Leading into your keys.
Yeah. Well, we see. I think we see a lot of things. similarly, but we're gonna do all kinds of things to get scat up, and I'm not gonna tell you scheme, but I've seen some really cool things in practice last few days that I really like in terms of the scheme to get Scattaboo off. And it's imaginative. It's some of the stuff we've seen, but just a little different wrinkle on it. I mean, you kind of saw Clemson kind of take advantage at the corners, little RPO throws 6-8 yards at a time. I think we're going to throw a lot of quick little passes based on the RPO but they're really going to be read and in case that end is crashing, Sam's just going to, and you're going to release a tight end. You're going to see a lot of quick passes to Brown, and you're going
to. I didn't think Mateer was involved. I mean, granted, he didn't really need him to get involved in the championship game against Iowa State. Would like to see him. Would like to see him get a few balls in this game. Absolutely,
he will. It's going to be him bleeding off the corner, off the edge. He's going to hold the block, sustain and release, and but playing hard for all 4 quarters. And to me, if we can get at least 2 turnovers in this game at the right time, kind of fourth quarter, I think.
Hey, we finish +2.
Yes,
we've got a great chance to win this.
Got a great chance, and I know they've been drilling for it all season. We're plus 22 this year. My gosh,
sure.
What a turnaround that has been, right? Hats off to Brian Ward, man. I just have so much respect. He says like this: we're not fundamentally going to change after 13 games. We can't, right?
True.
What we can do is be really sound in what we are doing, right? Execute. Stay home. Stop.
Basically be who we are. Just do it to the best of our ability.
That's right. And not it's not bend don't break. It's just stop the big play. And it's guys. This is stop the we're going to try to run the ball and we're going to try to stop the run. This is the oldest strategy.
Goal line scrimmage. Yeah, I mean that's what ASU's done all year. When they've had their success, they've been able to run the ball. They've been able to stop the run. They've been able to put some pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
When they're playing at their best, that's exactly what they're doing. They're controlling the clock and not letting opposing offenses get in the work.
Especially powerful offenses like theirs, right? You want to keep those guys off the field. So long sustained drives. I know it's boring, guys. It's a lot of running. Everybody loves the scoring, but there's a reason why 51 is the over/under in this game. It's not a big number.
No, it's not.
It's not. And I think it's because they know both teams are fundamentally good defenses that can stop runs.
But have also the fact that they've also been able to win without scoring a ton of points.
Correct.
Different stretches. Sometimes it's the defense carrying the load, and that's been true for Texas too. They've had some games where their defense has been able to go out there and force turnovers, make big plays, and they end up winning by only scoring like 17, 20 points.
Yeah, I'm going to say another big factor in this. You know how many kids are from Texas playing on our team who got overlooked and have a chip on their shoulder?
You know how many kids have transferred from Texas?
That's right.
Played for Texas.
Do not underestimate that, folks. This is the great. I'll say it, and you've heard me say this. I don't care if you're talking about America's Cup, you're talking about baseball, any sport. Redemption is the strongest motivator in all the sports. It really is. So, I just see that.
And revenge.
Well, that's the same. It's two sides of the same coin. Revenge and redemption. So, I'm not underestimating. There's a lot of kids from Texas who want to see Texas. They were rooting for Texas to win this thing so we could play. They wanted to take them.
Oh yeah,
they wanted to take them down. Yeah,
I know that's true.
So where are we? We're at prediction time.
So those are our keys to the game, presented by the Valley. We're going a little bit out of order because we don't have a game to recap. We're used to doing things a certain way on this show. So just if you're bearing with us at this point, thank you so much because we're flying by the seat of our pants just as much. But those are our keys to the game presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club. Support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And it's prediction time. I'm the more realist of the two of us. I just think Texas has got too much firepower, and I don't know if ASU can hang with them. At some point, I think they might be trading scores. and this is something that's something that favors Texas. I don't know if ASU is going to be able to get the stops that they need in the end to come away with the victory. I think they will absolutely make it close. I think they absolutely cover. But I think it's Texas ending ASU season with a 31-24 victory. But I hope I'm wrong.
Well, and you have every reason to say what you said. I mean, every logical thing. The thing I
well, you know, all the pundits and talking heads are picking Texas. Of course,
it's not like every one of them is like there's no question. Just hand it to them. You know, it's just
we're not going to do that.
I know. I just know that our kids don't give up. They're going to fight hard all 4 quarters, and there's an edge to them. And I'm just going to tell you one more thing. Scatterboot is going to play with the biggest chip on his shoulder we have seen this year. He feels disrespected after the Heisman, where he finished, and the fact that, look, I'm just going to tell you this: if Texas makes the mistake of trying to tackle him with one guy, you know what his yards after contact are? 1,000 after there's no one close in this game. So
very true.
Just watch Scat go off. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to have an Iowa State level.
Well, this is one of the toughest run defenses they've faced all year. So it's gonna really fall to not just Scat, but the offensive line, the tight ends. Everybody's got to get a hat on a hat in order to help Scat have any kind of a decent game.
But I think 30 touches, while it sounds like a lot, he's going to get his 130, 150 yards.
They're going to need him, especially if they have a lead late. They're going to need him in crunch time. Yeah. So that could absolutely come to fruition. We thought he was going to need that. We thought he was going to need that many against Iowa State. We both thought it was going to be a closer game than it was.
Yes.
And ultimately, I mean, he was able to, score 3 touchdowns and go 200 yards of total offense on basically 22 touches.
Yeah.
So. But I think you're right though. He will need about 30 touches in order to have the necessary impact in this game.
It's a different animal. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I listen. I still the thing I love about this game, that ball has 2 pointy ends on it, right? I just love that.
They go every which way.
That's right. I mean,
I'm not. Hope it bounces ASU's way this time.
Yeah. So. But that is
all right. Those are our score predictions, and that'll do it for our show too. Our college football playoff quarterfinal preview show here on our team. You guys tune in. Say good night. Go Devils. Forks up. Horns down. We mess with Texas. Let's go Devils.
That's right. Go Devils.